man.
Breathe the air where I stood at. Won't pop Advil, I deal with my headaches. Where am I the headaches? Go and play that back, y'all rats and these cats ain't got time to
Match, the Revival, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, the current NXT Tag Team Champions, took on Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
Johnny Wrestling. That's all I want to say.
Psycho Killer.
That's all I want to say is Johnny Wrestling out loud.
All I want to say is Psycho Killer. Now, I have seen Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa maybe 20 blocks away in the Brooklyn Lyceum 2 to 3 years ago.
Yes.
So for me, as a fan of them, they won me over when I went to see a Evolve show in the Brooklyn Lyceum, which is a little shit venue, if you can even call it a venue. But that is indie wrestling.
Yes.
So anyone who's listening, if you haven't seen a local indie or even a kind of reputable indie, but if they come into your area, go. Try it at least once. And if you like it, try it again. Try it with different companies. Support pro wrestling.
Yes.
Okay, so Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder. I know I said I haven't been watching NXT for that long, but I have been watching as long as they have been around.
Yes.
And you always get a solid match with these guys.
Yes. They've had solid matches with American Alpha.
Yes, and they've also had solid matches with a lot of other NXT tag teams that are there. So going into this match, not having really watched NXT, I knew I was getting a solid match. Definitely with the Revival. Obviously, they were the NXT tag team champions. Oh no, they are, because they didn't lose it, even though I wanted them to so badly. But Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, relatively kind of new guys at NXT, right?
Yeah, I remember them coming in to NXT, their debut and everything, and they were kind of the jobber tag team that they would, but everybody, you could tell everybody in the NXT crowd knew who these guys were because they were cheering for them. And here, these guys were supposed to be the NXT tag team jobbers for a few weeks and everything. And I think they kind of realized that these guys, who they are and everything, who they developed themselves in the indies. People in the audience knew. I think that kind of opened the eyes of the people that are running NXT and everything. Give these guys a chance, and then you put them with the Revival and everything. And I think it was a solid match overall. The Revival, I always been impressed with them just because of how they look. I come from when I started watching wrestling was at a very, very young age. It's like when I was like 5 years old. That was back in like 1989. And I still remember a lot of things over the years and everything. And these guys, if during that time there was WWE, then WWF, you also had NWA, National Wrestling Alliance and everything. And these guys, the Revival, they remind me of Arn Anderson and his brother Ole Anderson, the Anderson brothers.
These guys are definitely the modern version of those guys.
Yes,
you can't compare another tag team. Could not fit that mold or that character description as much as these two guys.
Yes, every time I see these guys wrestle, they remind me so much of the Anderson brothers, and it's kind of crazy. And these guys they kind of remind me of like stiff workers. These guys do stiff shots. They do a little bit harder with slams and everything, and it helps with different tag teams and everything. I think that's what helped with American Alpha matches. American Alpha, solid tag team, put those two together. They had really good matches. I think when you put Gargano and Ciampa on with them also, it was a very solid match also.
Now, I totally agree with you, and I just want to point out that the reason you say that if you add Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa to that is because those two have such experience on the indies, and they've both been around for a while. They know what they're doing, and these guys, this is just a pro wrestling match, and it was a very good pro wrestling match.
Yes.
I really like the way you described the Revival. There's definitely an old school feel to them, a way where as a fan if you understand what pro wrestling is and you appreciate what pro wrestling is, then
Yes.
you will like the Revival, and you will know that no matter what you're getting, you're going to get a fundamentally sound match with the when the Revival is involved.
Yes.
And I think whether you're a fan or probably even if you're an actual pro wrestler, you want to be in the ring with the Revival because you're going to be better for it.
Yes.
And I think the same argument could be made that if you are a pro wrestler in NXT and you haven't been all around the world like a Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa, but you are starting your career and you lucked out into an amazing opportunity, you want to be in the ring with Johnny Gargano and or Tommaso Ciampa.
Yes.
Okay, so both teams very solid. Audience was not necessarily into the rival, but definitely gave them their respect, knew that these guys had the titles for a reason, and, gave them the respect that these guys deserve. But everyone, I'm pretty sure, wanted Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa to win.
Oh, everybody was into Tommaso and Johnny Gargano and everything, and I think that helped. With the whole thing with you, the Revival are the type of tag team that how their character is, how their heel character is, how their attitudes are. These are the type that you want to see guys like Johnny Gargano and Ciampa go against. These guys who people want to see lose, but they know these guys are good wrestlers. But they, with the development of Gargano and Ciampa, the way that they developed themselves over the years, you want to see these guys win these NXT titles against these guys who are very good, but people want to see them lose just because of how their whole attitude is.
Now, here's something what I found really fun about this match was that, now, have you been watching the CWC? That is WWE's Cruiserweight Classic, which is a tournament with 36 or 38 cruiserweight wrestlers who are doing a tournament to crown one person. Have you been watching this?
Yes.
Okay, now a week or two ago there was a match where it's this tournament is elimination style, and Johnny Gargano took on Tommaso Ciampa in an elimination match.
Yes.
Did you see that one?
Yes.
What did you think?
I thought they did really well with each other. I feel like it was a solid match.
It was a
Like
very good match.
these guys, like you put these guys in a tag team match together, they're very, very good as a tag team. Put them in a singles match, and people can make the argument of saying, yeah, they're partners and everything. Of course, they're gonna have good chemistry in the ring and everything, but it's not that. It's that these guys can work a singles match if they have to, and that's what they showed off on that one.
Now, I looked at that match a little differently, but I agree with you that this was two guys who have had the same career path, going through the indies, meeting up, often probably on weekends on the same show, probably have, wrestled each other many times. They're very familiar with each other, and they have a special bond that other people who are right out of college or right out of a sports, illustrated magazine, as sometimes the women are brought into this company. But these guys, they earned their way to this company by wrestling all over the world and being weekend warriors. And because they both have that background, they just click as a tag team, right?
Yes.
So if you're a pro wrestling fan and you know this is their backstory, it kind of just clicks with you, and you respect them, you just like them, and you want them to succeed, right?
Yes.
So now this WCW, elimination tournament happens, and these two guys happen to face off with each other.
You mean
And
CWC?
I'm sorry, whatever I said. CWC. Did I say WCW?
You said WCW, going back to old WCW
Well,
Cruiserweight division.
that's branding for me, and that's why it's so important to have a big, stupid red belt. But we'll get there. We'll get there. And just lost in this madness of a belt right now.
Yeah.
But okay, so CWC, these guys they had this bond, and you have this bond with them, and now they have to verse each other. And they had a very passionate, emotional match. There's a scene where Tommaso Ciampa, the Psycho Killer, he realizes that he's gonna have to hurt his very good friend to beat him, but he doesn't want to. And that match is worth it. You go and find out how it ends, but now these guys, they're back to a tag team. They're back to focus on a goal of gold, and the crowd so badly want these guys to win. And the weird part of this match is Tommaso Ciampa started off, and he's the bigger of the two. And usually in these type of matches, the smaller guy gets beat on, and the bigger one makes a save. But in this match, uh, Scott and Dash were such a fine-tuned tag team, and they just took apart Tommaso Ciampa. And anytime he tried to tag in Johnny Gargano, he couldn't. Whether it's uh, because Scott and Dash just they distracted the referee, they just were just
Oh,
in their own
there was the one point that I can remember in the matches when, see, these guys are very good at tag teams.
very good.
They know how to distract. They know how to take advantage of opportunities. I know that Ciampa was trying to go for the tag with Gargano. He got really close, but one of them, went around, grabbed Gargano, and got him off the apron and everything. And these guys know what they're doing, and I agree with the whole thing. They were taking them apart. I think even when Ciampa made the tag and everything, Gargano had like some momentum going in. But even with that, I think they were also taking apart Gargano in some situations also.
They definitely did, but the crowd wanted Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa to win so badly. We were so emotionally involved in this tag team, partially because if you've been to the Brooklyn Lyceum, which is 20 blocks away, and you get to see guys like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, and even a Uha Nation, who is now what is his name? Something Apollo Cruz. Like it's
As
crazy.
everybody kept calling him on SmackDown, everybody kept calling him Apollo Creed from Rocky.
Which I wish would be his background at this point. Just run with it. I don't know, whatever. It makes sense. So,
Yes.
but okay. So there's that bond, and the revival are such good wrestlers that this whole match was built on. You want to see the baby faces win so badly, and you root for them so much, and even though Johnny Gargano got the tag finally in, ultimately he gets screwed. He gets
Yes.
put in a submission. He has to tap because his partner got knocked out when he was on the outside.
Yes.
And, it was painful to watch. And as a paying customer, I wanted to see Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa win. They did not, but it was such a good match. I can't be mad at it. And what I'm personally mad at is that eventually Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa will beat the Revival, but I will not be there live to see it.
Yes. So
So
you can see them going against the Revival again.
they deserve it. So I hope it happens.
I agree with that.
So now how familiar are you with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa as a tag team?
I seen them a few times wrestling on YouTube because I always watch YouTube all the time, and so I seen them also because I seen them when they came into NXT and everything. And they were everybody knew who they were, and I had some knowledge of who they were and everything, and then I went back and I like to do research of how, like, you know people's backgrounds, where they come from and everything, because you got a bunch of indies promotions and everything that
Right.
everybody's been to. Um and so I seen these guys. I seen these guys with a few matches and everything. This is one of those guys that I think is, they got all the talent in the ring.
Mhm.
It's good to see them in bigger production level as NXT, showing off their talent.
Yeah, I'm so happy that these guys lucked out because I again couldn't imagine a year or two ago when I was at the Brooklyn Lyceum watching these guys live and being like, you know what, these guys are such good wrestlers. I really hope they end up in WWE. That flash forward, these guys are in NXT, a WWE run environment, and they're, I honestly think they're probably exceeding expectations.
Yeah, I like I said, they came into NXT as jobber tag team, but I think they kind of raised the awareness of how they are and everything, and I think they will be the next tag team to go against the Revival and develop from there, kind of like how American Alpha did.
I hope that's for them. I hope NXT Gold is in their future. Now, unfortunately, because I think this team has such a, really through NXT and the CWC, this history behind them that I think ultimately, now at the end of this match, Johnny Gargano tapped out, and Tommaso Ciampa eventually got in after the match ended and helped consult a very sad and upset and blaming himself for the loss of the tag of their team, Johnny Gargano. And now I saw this also with the ending of the CWC match between the two. I'm not going to tell you who won, who lost. Honestly, do yourself a favor and go watch it. Um, at the ending, these guys hug each other, even when one of them is laying down because of the energy he lost in defeat.
Yes.
And these guys consult each other. The same thing happened in this one. Johnny Gargano had to tap, and he was upset. Tommaso Ciampa comes in, and Johnny Gargano's kind of sitting down, almost Indian style. So Tommaso Ciampa does as well and gives him a hug. I think ultimately the Psycho Killer will turn on Mr. Wrestling.
It kind of looked like that. I was kind of expecting that just because of on watching it on TV and everything, the way Champa was looking at Gargano.
Because we've seen that look before in the CWC. If you're
Yes.
paying attention to the extended WWE universe, it kind of pays off as a hardcore fan.
Yes. And I think I was honestly when I saw that, like the look on his face and everything, I thought something was gonna happen.
A lot of people thought something was going to happen.
Yeah, and I think eventually, if they go, this is what I'm thinking is if they go against the Revival again, if they end up losing that match, I'm thinking that there's gonna be some type of turn.
I agree. I don't want to see that rematch happen right away because, you know, one of my favorite looking back on it moments of a friendship of a tag team breaking up is Batista and Rey Mysterio.
Yes.
And I can't remember the exact reasons why, but Batista and Rey lost a tag team match.
Yes.
And Batista is upset with this
Yes.
because Batista thought Rey Mysterio was supposed to be his friend. Yes.
We are.
So what does
Well,
Batista do to his friend Rey Mysterio, who's supposed to be his friend, which I guess means let's win matches, let's win gold.
tell everybody what happened because I feel like this is like story time with Josh.
Oh, this is amazing. So honestly, you should probably YouTube it because I can probably do it justice. But ultimately, Dave Batista and Rey Mysterio lose a very important match. And Dave Batista, he's upset. And he's not normally upset. He's extra upset. He gets a microphone. And he goes up to Rey Mysterio and he tells him how he's not happy. He's not happy with their loss. And Rey, you hear him says, I agree. I'm sorry. And Dave says, something along the lines of that, I blame you. And Rey apologizes. And Dave's like, no, I'm mad at you. And Rey's starting to take this threat serious. And ultimately, Dave Batista just hits the hell out of him and screams, "You're supposed to be my friend." And then Dave Batista, he unleashes the animal. And he destroys Rey Mysterio. He chokes him. He hits him. And Rey, you hear Rey say, You're hurting me. And he just throws him against the ring things on the outside, the ring barriers. And you have like referees come down, try to break it up. But Dave just snaps because he's a killer, a psycho killer. And you know who else is a psycho killer? Tommaso Ciampa. And he's gonna eventually snap on Johnny Gargano because if Johnny Gargano continues to be the reason why these two cannot defeat the Revival, even though they can. It's just the Revival is a solid tag team who don't care about the rules and they win. Eventually, Tommaso Ciampa is going to go psycho killer on Johnny Gargano, and I'm gonna be crushed because they're friends, and Tommaso Ciampa needs to know that, but I don't think he knows that. I think he's gonna snap. He's gonna scream at him. You're supposed to be my friend, and Johnny Gargano is gonna tell him, Tommaso, you're hurting me. And you know, Tommaso Ciampa won't care, and they're gonna have an amazing feud. It's gonna be possibly on the level of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And you know, we're all gonna yell at our TVs, "Fight forever, fight forever." It's gonna happen. It's gonna be great, and it's part of the thing of being a real pro wrestling fan. When pro wrestling is good, that makes it pay off. If you've been paying attention to these guys' careers for the past 10 plus years, that they are where they are against the Revival, and they're getting this great opportunity and this amazing promotion that came up out of nowhere that probably shouldn't exist because Vince McMahon would never acknowledge anything that he did not create because he did not create Johnny Gargano. He did not create Tommaso Ciampa. He did not create Ring of Honor. He did not create Evolve. He did not create wherever these guys are running around being weekend warriors too. But if you're that type of fan who pays attention, it's paying off now in a major way. And it's only going to get better. I'm excited. You know, I hope you hear it in my voice, but I'm excited for what might happen, what has happened so far. And, you know, I keep telling you, I text you every few weeks. I heard this match is happening.
Yes.
Was it good? Should I subscribe to the WWE Network? This feud alone, if you're a pro wrestling fan and you pay attention, it should be a reason why you buy the subscription for 1 month, do the free trial if need be, but watch NXT, watch NXT Brooklyn, watch NXT Brooklyn 2, and it's worth it for this one match alone if you already know the background.
I mean, these guys go on the NXT show anyways every Wednesday, so it's not like you're just gonna see them one time in a month or anything.
Now, at NXT Brooklyn, these two, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, debuted a new T-shirt.
Yes.
A hashtag DIY, do it yourself.
Yes.
Because that's how these guys do it, right?
Yes.
I want that T-shirt.
I think you get
but
that.
I couldn't get it live. And then I went to SummerSlam the next day, and obviously I couldn't get it there because they're not on the SummerSlam level, but I want their T-shirt. And that should say something because I'm willing to drop money on these two. So hopefully WWE sees what they have. And I would like to come back to this 1 year from now where hopefully you'll make the trip out to New York next year. We'll go to NXT. We'll go to SummerSlam. And if we have to, we'll go to Raw too because that's what happens on these weekends. You go to all the shows.
It's what you do if they have all of them. It's kind of
Exactly.
like it's kind of the same thing with like WrestleMania. You know there's gonna be an NXT show. You know that WrestleMania is on Sunday. That you know that it's gonna be crazy on Monday.
Exactly. So hopefully next year when we come back to this, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa are already tag team champions or they're about to get it. But I hope they're not at the point where they break up because I would like to see them develop as an NXT tag team over the next many months.
Yes, I agree with that.
But their inevitable breakup should mean something. What I think is going to happen, at least the past few times we've seen them, where they're next to each other, Indian style, sitting down or just hugging, would be that when Tommaso Ciampa finally snaps, and he's consulting Johnny Gargano, where he's got his arm around him, and he's bringing him for a hug, he kind of just hugs him, but the hug gets stronger, and it keeps getting stronger. And
Yes.
Johnny Gargano, at first it doesn't mean anything. He thinks it's just his buddy just telling him stay in there. But then eventually this hug maybe becomes a choke, and then Johnny Gargano, he starts to feel the pressure physically on him, and maybe Tommaso Ciampa starts saying something like, you know, we're in this together, aren't we? It's always been us, something along those lines. But this hug starts to become a choke, and then eventually Tommaso Ciampa goes psycho killer and maybe chokes out Johnny Gargano or just something. But I'm expecting that this relationship will overall have a great payoff if you pay attention to it.
I agree. I'm kind of excited to see now the way you hyped it up now. Now I'm excited to see where this goes.
Well, hopefully WWE can deliver on my theories, right?
Yeah, but then that's what I think that's what everybody wants to do.
Okay, good. Um, Next match, Asuka or Asuka, depending on the pronunciation. Took
If you're from Japan and want to say it right, it's Asuka.
Well, if you're from Japan and you want to say it, it's Kana.
Yeah,
So
really depends.
Kana, the current NXT Women's Champion, took on the beloved Bailey.
Yes.
Who do you like more?
Honestly, I like the character and the workhorse that Bailey is. She can go. Like she can go. I'm
I,
more leaning to Asuka only because this is the thing I have about uh I'll even say this about like all Japanese wrestlers that come out of Japan. Every Friday they have their New Japan Pro Wrestling show that they have every Friday on TV and everything.
which is available on which channel? Just so we can do a cheap plug.
The Audience Network, which is I think it's only on DirecTV. I'm not sure if it's also on Dish Network.
I think they're also available also on the Fight Network, which is a Canadian um, television show. I don't
Yes.
know. I listen to the law. That's why I know about Canadian stuff.
Yeah.
I never heard of the network you just said.
Yeah. Well, this one's on the I think it's on the audio. But anyways, um, I the show itself is they always put the date about before it starts and everything, and they're about probably about I want to say under a year behind, and
Mhm.
so I saw the whole tournament with that they do the whole month long tournament and everything with that's when I saw AJ Styles. This was last year's tournament and
The G1.
yeah, and it's with AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura and everything, and I watched that. They would show that the whole thing and everything, and just the way how grueling that tournament is.
It's
And
ridiculous. For those of you who don't know, the G1 tournament is, um, I believe it's a 10 on 10 tournament that is done with the brackets,
yes,
where you end up facing every opponent
yes,
over a month. So it's a very physically hard um, tournament on these pro wrestlers. If you on match one or two on night one or two, three or four, whenever these events happen, if you happen to dislocate your shoulder, unless you're willing to drop out, you are going to spend the next 25, 27 days wrestling with a recently dislocated shoulder, because in New Japan Pro Wrestling, in a Japanese culture, honor means something.
yes,
And you can't just call in sick.
yes,
So it's a very physically drooling tournament that this year brought us Kenny Omega.
yes.
Kenny Omega, a member of the Bullet Club, arguably their current leader. Bullet Club,
Arguably.
arguably, Bullet Club, the maybe legitest version of the New World Order or any stable that claimed to be about controlling the whole pro wrestling world. Because at the end of this week, the Bullet Club, current members, former members, who know if they ever left the promotion, have just completely dominated the pro wrestling scene. Tonight you had Finn Balor, aka Prince Devitt, the original leader of the Bullet Club, defeated Seth Rollins to become the first WWE Universal Champion. that night, you also saw AJ Styles, the second leader after Prince Devitt left the Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling to go to WWE NXT, defeated John Cena, the face of North American Pro Wrestling. You also saw on Friday, Ring of Honor had a pay-per-view where their current champion, Jay Lethal, took on current Bullet Club member Adam Cole and lost.
Wait, I wanted to ask you about that. I before we get into the NXT Women's
I'll talk
Championship.
about Bullet Club as much as you want, bro.
No, I want to talk about Adam Cole and what's his name,
Jay Lethal.
Jay Lethal. Yeah, I wanted to see that match. I know how Adam Cole wrestles. I'm a fan of Adam Cole.
Who isn't?
Yeah,
Honestly.
yeah, and as you know that our Ring of Honor used to be on TV, but that whole deal stopped and everything. But
They've got deals. They're just not important deals.
yeah, but I want to know your honest opinion of Adam Cole beating Jay Lethal.
Honest opinion is Jay Lethal had spent 14 months as the Ring of Honor champion.
Yes.
He has a reign that is arguably as important, as influential, and as time goes on, probably will have as much weight as a Samoa Joe, a Daniel Bryan, aka Bryan Danielson. Um, Jay Lethal has been a very important part of Ring of Honor. Also, he is in Ring of Honor thanks to the mistakes of TNA, and he had to fight the Black Machismo stink that he got from TNA when he went to Ring of Honor. But he has become the leader of the House of Truth and has put on a 14-month long title history reign of amazing matches with the likes of Dalton Castle, Jay Briscoe, Okada, to an extent Moose, Justin Thunder Liger. The fact is that Ring of Honor has done its best to throw the best at Jay Lethal. He claims to be the greatest first generation wrestler ever. Had he been able to marry AJ Lee instead of not being able to close the deal, and AJ Lee eventually ending up married to CM Punk. The generation.
Arguably, still one of my favorite wrestlers, but we'll get back to that.
And we'll find out if maybe he'll arguably be one of your favorite UFC fighters should the day actually come.
Hopefully.
And if it doesn't, after tonight at SummerSlam, the WWE crowd is more than willing to welcome him back with open arms. So even, he's going to end up back in pro wrestling, I'm sure. But Jay Lethal, he's done his best. Ring of Honor, they gave him the ball. He has definitely ran with it. He has done his very best. And the House of Truth, him, has been all probably entertaining and good parts of Ring of Honor. But at the same time, it got boring. What's the payoff?
Yeah.
If it's not Okada, if it's not Liger, if it's not Bobby Fish, who is it? If it's not Kyle O'Reilly, who is it? The answer is Adam Cole. Adam Cole, baby. Because he runs the Bullet Club now. I guess because Kenny Omega won't come over to the States. Adam Cole has earned this. It's about time that Ring of Honor changes its direction. I hope, this should be good, but you have the belt now. You switched from one heel to another heel, technically. But in Ring of Honor, heel and face dynamics don't matter as much. So maybe it went to a face, but on paper it went to a heel. So you change a heel for a heel. Who is Adam Cole going to defeat over the next few months?
I think I'm thinking Jay Lethal might try to do the whole rematch clause and everything, and I'm thinking Adam Cole will keep the belt. I think they're gonna do the whole Adam Cole be the champion, leader of the Bullet Club and everything, and have faces go after him. If not, they're gonna run out of people like they did with Jay Lethal and everything, and just throw everybody at him.
I think I agree with you that that's probably what's going to happen, but I don't know if Ring of Honor can bring in important indie or recently WWE or TNA released talent. Um, a guy like Ryback,
Oh
who
God.
had been released from WWE. I assume he's going to end up in New Japan. If he ended up doing a few dates for Ring of Honor, you put him against Adam Cole. You make Adam Cole win, but is that a believable victory for Adam Cole?
Uh, I think Adam Cole, honestly, if they ever put Ryback in Ring of Honor and they put him against Adam Cole is a better worker that should have the belt, that should keep the belt over Ryback.
Right, but at a certain point, I think the appearance of pro wrestling matters, and a guy like
Yes.
Ryback should be holding the Ring of Honor championship.
Yes.
But okay, regardless, the fact is, I'm excited for Adam Cole to now be the current Ring of Honor champion. Don't really know what Ring of Honor is going to do because a guy like Michael Elgin, who's still technically Ring of Honor material or signed talent, is doing pretty well in New Japan, and I don't know what Adam Cole does with the Ring of Honor Heavyweight Championship. Who does he verse? What are his feuds? Is he a respected champion, or do the Young Bucks just constantly get involved to protect him? Do I?
I'm thinking they're gonna keep with the Young Bucks helping him. That's what I'm thinking because it's Bullet Club. You know the history of the Bullet Club, even like how Anderson and Gallows was with AJ Styles in New Japan Pro Wrestling with some of those matches.
Bullet Club does what it wants.
Yeah.
If it wants to hurt your extremities, they hurt your extremities.
Yeah.
If they want to call themselves doctors, they call themselves doctors.
Doctor.
Doctor,
Doctor.
phenomenal, doctor. It's amazing.
It is. It is. They got good chemistry. I like that.
So I was overall happy with the title change in Ring of Honor because Jay Lethal has been great for Ring of Honor, but unfortunately there was no real payoff, and I think this is the closest you get because you had a guy recently come in like Colt Cabana who had been out for a while and people cared, but they didn't think that he would win, and if he did beat Jay Lethal, that wouldn't mean anything. Um, Adam Cole's victory over Jay Lethal, ending 14 months of a title reign, again, one that could be comparable to guys like Samoa Joe and Daniel Bryan, means something, and it just waits to be seen what Ring of Honor, what Adam Cole does with it.
I just don't want them to waste opportunities. That's the thing.
They easily could, though.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens. There have been rumors that Delirious Hunter, whatever his real name is, people have not been happy with his booking, his direction for Ring of Honor, that it's too slow, it's too boring, and that's definitely a reason why I don't go out of my way to watch Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
So hopefully that maybe there's a shakeup there, and they bring in someone who understands what the current person, current pro wrestling fan likes, what they want, what they're willing, most importantly, what they're willing to spend their money on, and hopefully Ring of Honor can get big again. Bring in guys, a guy like Damian Santo, Alex Rex, whatever he's going by. He went to TNA, but why didn't he go to Ring of Honor?
I think he would.
TNA, why didn't he stay in Ring of Honor?
I think it would have been a better choice to go to Ring of Honor.
Right.
But
I don't know. It's weird, honestly. Earlier, you were saying that, Bobby Roode left because he wasn't getting his guaranteed contracted money.
Well, that's
paid on time.
Well, then also recently, Cowboy James Storm left because the way he wasn't getting paid the right money, and they were trying, just the dealings in his contract and stuff like that. I mean, I don't see why some of these people sign a contract with TNA when disgruntled people like Eric Young, Bobby Roode, and Cowboy James Storm, who've been there for a very, very long time, end up leaving because of, money issues. And I don't see how these guys look at this as, oh, you know what? This is my opportunity to shine in TNA. But yeah, you could do that with your talent, but are you going to get paid?
I'm thinking that these people left because TNA was on the under the direction of Dixie Carter. Hopefully now under the direction of a Smashing Pumpkin, that these people are getting paid on time, but those who have been crossed, who have been hurt, just don't want to deal with that. They've been lied to once already, and they're just. I see that WWE NXT is willing to take pure talent, and they're not going to punish my history. So hopefully these people move on. But it does open the spot for new guys. But again, if you're Moose, you're okay. I'm going to get more money, but it doesn't mean they'll pay it, because I've heard of stories where these guys don't pay it, and maybe Moose is a bad example because Moose is so big that he's limited in Ring of Honor. He should be a heavyweight, but they don't have WWE superstar level heavyweights in Ring of Honor. And
Yes.
Moose is a bigger guy who needs to be in a bigger land. And TNA is definitely a bigger land than Ring of Honor. It's not as big as the Land of Giants as WWE, but it's a step up.
I don't think TNA is as a big a brand as NXT in general.
That's definitely a very fair point to make. I would probably believe you, because I think if you told a pure wrestling fan, hey, I got seats tonight for a wrestling event. Which one do you want to go? And they say, sure. What's it called? And you tell them, I got seats to both NXT or TNA. They're the fans probably gonna pick NXT.
Yes, I
I'd
agree with
pick
that.
NXT.
I'll pick NXT.
Okay, so we agree on all of that.
Yes.
All right, so Asuka versus Bailey.
Okay, so what I was getting at is the what I was saying is about the workhorse of Bailey, good worker, good wrestler, everything. Asuka, what I was getting to the point of New Japan Pro Wrestling and just Japanese wrestlers in general, they're tough wrestlers. They are very, very tough wrestlers. I've seen people like Shinsuke Nakamura being in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Okada, also Tanahashi, just to name a few people. And these guys they stiff hit each other, and these guys are stiff wrestlers. They go at it. And when I see Asuka and TNA going, oh not TNA, NXT going against like women like Bailey and Nia Jax and all them, she's a stiff wrestler with stiff kicks, stiff hits, and everything. And I wouldn't expect anything less from her as a Japanese wrestler. Um, I think the way that they're developing her, she has not lost a match yet in NXT, and I think it's good to see a character development like that. Um, just because of how she works, the way she wrestles, and everything, I think it's very, very good to have the belt on her.
I like the strong style, and
Yes,
that is what you're talking about. This very Japanese, hard hitting. I'm going to hit you as hard as I can,
yes,
and you can hit me as
yes,
hard as you can, because I can hit you harder than you can hit me. I can take more damage than you can damage out. It's a very Japanese honor way of pro wrestling and style. I don't think that exists that well in NXT, because Asuka and Shinsuke Nakamura should be the two biggest badasses in NXT. Now, thankfully, Shinsuke has proven himself, and as is Asuka. But the fact is, that character Asuka should beat Bailey 9.5 times out of 10.
yes,
And the crowd here love Bailey. I love Bailey. I love her entrance. I love her music. I love her character. I would love to spend an afternoon with Bailey because I'm gonna have fun. That's the impression I have of this pro wrestler.
Um, the way I see it is that Bailey, I agree with you with her character, her entrance and everything, music, all that. She comes out, everybody's happy, everybody wants to hug each other, and she came out, she came out first in her entrance. She, her, signature entrance and everything. Everybody was all happy. It's all happy and everything. And then Asuka came out. Her music, the way she comes out, is very intimidating. It's something that you will see something from her, and um, I think it's one of those things to where you're just all like, all of a sudden, at one point it was very happy, very positive and everything. You get somebody like Oscar coming out, and you kind of realize like this. I'm going against a person that's going to come at me with 110.1%, and that's kind of how I see Oscar every time I see her. Like every time her music comes out and the way she comes out with the mask and everything, I'm kind of scared.
You should be, honestly. You should be.
Yeah.
Exactly. But now that video package leading up, everything about Bailey, she is the underdog, and she last year, she said how she took on Sasha, she's taken on Charlotte, she's taken on Becky Lynch, and she's always been the underdog. And even here against Asuka, she's the underdog. But there's a reason for that, and I think it's because she's so happy and she's a hugger, and she makes you want to be a hugger, and she wants to make you happy. But on the other side, you have Asuka, from the land of strong style, and she laughs, she's happy too. But what makes Asuka happy is kicking you in the face.
Yes.
What makes Asuka happy is hearing you scream. What makes her happy is making you submit.
Yes.
And that's a stronger character than Bailey. And I love Bailey. Like, I like everything about the entrance. I like to, but when she comes out, I was pretending I was an inflatable tube man, and I had fun with it. I don't care what everyone around me thinks.
Oh,
I'm an
everybody goes with
inflatable
it.
tube man, and everyone's like, I wish I had the balls of that guy to act like an idiot. But I don't, because I'm not having that much fun. But Bailey brings that out of me, so hopefully it brings that out of you as well.
Yeah.
But here comes Asuka, the women's champion, the queen of strong style, and she's gonna kick Bailey's ass. And part of you, because you like Bailey so much, you're like, Bailey, just give up. This isn't for you. Don't get beat up. And you know what? You'll probably still get called up to the main roster anyway. But unfortunately, Bailey thought she had what it took to take on Asuka and beat her. And I'm just gonna run to the end. She didn't, because Asuka's a mean bitch.
Yes, Asuka, I think, dominated that match.
As she should have, honestly.
Yeah.
Like everyone around me, they wanted Bailey to win. And I like Bailey, but if you like pro wrestling, you like details in stories, you like things to make sense, Bailey should not have won that match.
I agree with that, and I think the finish was good with the kick to the face, and I don't know. It's one of those things to where it shows how dominant Asuka is in that match, and I'm pretty happy with the finish of that match. It ended the way I think it should have. Asuka being on top of it and showing that she's more dominant than any women wrestler in NXT right now. I'm thinking she can beat any women wrestler in the main roster also.
I think she could arguably beat any woman in pro wrestling.
Yes.
So I definitely agree with you. Now, the big thing is Bailey lost her match, but did she win in the sense that she's probably going to get called up to the main roster?
It's happened with Sami Zayn. It's happened with Finn Balor. I'm thinking that it's going to happen with Bailey as well.
When do you think we're going to see this debut?
I'm thinking as realistically for me, and this is just for me, realistically, I'm thinking tomorrow night on Raw.
Definitely a popular opinion, because I was hearing that right away. At the end of that match, I was thinking, huh, why did that happen?
Yeah.
And then Corey next to me was like, Bailey. And I was like, oh, right.
Right.
Bailey's probably going to be called up.
Yeah.
So I think everything happened for the best, right?
Yes. I think that match was pretty solid. Asuka dominated as well. You know, like you said, as she should have. And I think if that's Bailey's last match in NXT, then you know it's good on her. You know, she deserves to go to the main roster. I think.
Yes, she's definitely earned a main roster spot, and WWE needs a character like her.
Yes.
Okay, so just because we've been kind of keeping this whole theme, Asuka, I think she's probably going to be in NXT for at least another year or so.
Yes, I think they will develop that NXT Women's Championship around her for the next year.
So I agree with you that she'll probably be in NXT. She'll help build new talents, but ultimately she'll be the big bitch in NXT. She'll run shit.
Oh, she's gonna run that. She's gonna kick everybody's ass, and then I
We'll all
think,
cheer.
yeah. You know what? Honestly, I want to see her go against someone like Ember Moon.
I want to see that too, but I would like to see Ember Moon properly built up because I think there's flaw in the character, and a big thing getting over her is those ridiculous eyes. But again, I'm not a doctor, so that could be a legitimate condition, and I'm not trying to hate on that. But if they're fake eyes, contacts, then get rid of them. I get, oh, you're a werewolf because that was important 5 years ago because Vince, I guess,
Loves
just saw,
gimmicks.
yeah, or just saw Twilight or something.
One of the
Ran
worst,
Triple H
one of
NXT,
the
but
worst
I don't
movies of all
understand.
time. I think.
That's probably a very good debate. I never watched them. What I think we should do is we pencil that as a note for when we eventually have some people that will admit that they saw all of them, and let's have a little fight off.
Yeah, I mean, I never watched all of them except for the first one, but that was when I was with my kid's mom at the time.
Hey, you know what that sounds like to me?
What?
An excuse. All right, so here's the main event. The main event of
Man,
NXT season
this
two.
is the one I was excited. Like, you don't know how excited I was about this.
Were you excited enough to wear a King of Strong Style T-shirt?
If I had a King of Strong Style T-shirt, I
Well,
would
why
wear it
don't you have a King of Strong Style
because I
T-shirt?
have not gone on WWEshop.com and ordered
Well, you
me
can also go
one.
to Pro Wrestling Tees, or you could have and gotten one as well.
Yes, but
Okay. Fact is, I wore my Pro Wrestling Tees, New Japan inspired, red King of Strong Style Shinsuke Nakamura T-shirt. I have a friend named Sean who is actually Japanese, and he went to Japan last year, and he went to the official store, the equivalent of the WWE New York version of the New Japan store. And guess what he got me?
what do you get you?
He got me a Shinsuke Nakamura,
Hey, this
hey,
guy.
yo, uh, towel hoodie thing.
Yes.
So I'd been waiting a year to finally get this in my hands, and luckily he got tickets to NXT at the last moment and met me and brought it, and I finally had it and I wore it, and I was super excited.
How excited were you for this match? Honestly, because I could tell you, I'm a big fan. Like I think I have a small list of people that I think like you know that are my favorite wrestlers.
Mhm.
Um, on top of that list, respectively, is Eddie Guerrero. But
And I think it is on many people because we have seen. If you're a pro wrestling fan and you love Eddie Guerrero, you know about him. You have probably really noticed over the past 3 to 5 years, especially, a lot of newer talent constantly giving respect to Eddie Guerrero.
yes, and this is the guy that remember watching at WCW in 1994 and see him develop all the way up until his death, and it's just one of those great careers that you just love watching and everything. And arguably, he's my favorite number one. Shinsuke Nakamura is also in that small list. Also, I always get excited about watching this. I always get this is a guy who can work in the ring, but I get excited for his entrance as well.
Mhm.
And
Now, what I like about the way you're describing Shinsuke is that you give him credit for his in ring, you give him credit for his entrance, and it seems like there's just this overall aura about Shinsuke Nakamura that you're drawn to.
Yes. Just he can work in the ring. He's got an awesome entrance. Even his mannerisms, the way he acts, the way his face is, the way he does his facial expressions and everything. Even the way he does like some of the goofy stuff that he does to kind of intimidate, who's he's in there with and everything, like kind of like play mind games with them.
Mhm.
Everything about this guy is just it's I don't know what it is, but every time I see him or see him wrestle or anything, I get excited. Like I want to see what happens with every time he's in the ring.
I get it. I feel the same way, and hopefully, people who watch NXT get it. They feel it that way, and more importantly, the people backstage who make the decisions get it. They feel that way because what I think you have in Shinsuke Nakamura is he's more than a star. He could possibly be more than a superstar. He could transcend the pro wrestling business like guys like Stone Cold have done, like The Rock has done. And I'm hoping that he can cross over. He's already done that in Japan. He was featured in the Pharrell Japanese official version of Happy. Him and Okada are in it because him and Okada are real stars over there.
Yeah,
Japan is its own world, and as Americans, as we should, USA, we don't give these other foreign countries, the respect that they deserve, especially culturally to their icons. But Shinsuke Nakamura and Okada are important enough to be in Pharrell's music video. And I don't think, American pro wrestling fans were alerted of this. I think it came from Japanese pro wrestling fans or Japanese fans who were just like, oh my God, it's Okada. And
yeah,
they brought it to our attention
yeah.
because it was so big there. Regardless, WWE NXT have hit big with the fact that they signed Shinsuke, and I totally agree with you.
Oh,
There's something about him that just draws you to him and makes you want to pay attention. And definitely, this was the match that I was excited for.
yes, and I will add on to like the whole thing about like Japanese wrestling, like New Japan Pro Wrestling, with WWE and NXT, capitalizing on their talent and everything. It's kind of the same time as or the same thing as when WCW did the same thing with them during around like 94, 95, 96. They were doing cross promotions with New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you started seeing at that time people like Masahiro Chono and the Great Muda. Even the stable, the NWO, was a knockoff of a group that New Japan Pro Wrestling was doing, also with guys in suits. They were in a group and everything, and it's kind of good to see like a stable like the Bullet Club,
Mm.
be with those stables also that were developed in both brands and everything. And it's good to see like these talents still coming out of New Japan Pro Wrestling, like Shinsuke Nakamura and everything, and it just adds to the factor of like it's exposing people all over the world of these guys that a lot of Japanese wrestlers, even like hardcore fans of like that watch all kinds of different brands, they know who these guys are, and it's good to see like the crowd give him the reaction that he deserves.
Now, I totally agree with everything you said. That Shinsuke Nakamura is just a very special global talent that hopefully WWE and NXT will understand, appreciate, and push the proper way. But Shinsuke Nakamura took on Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe has been one of my favorite wrestlers for the past several years because he doesn't look like what Vince McMahon wants a pro wrestler to look like. But the fact is that I'm more afraid of seeing Samoa Joe, an angry Samoa Joe, in the back alleys than I am of seeing an angry Roman Reigns. Because an angry Roman Reigns will hurt me,
Yes,
but an angry Samoa Joe will kill me.
Angry Samoa Joe is gonna kill you and eat you alive.
He'll
He'll
leave
just
no evidence
he'll kill you. He'll bring you back to life and he'll eat you.
just because. And,
Yeah.
and that's way scarier. And it's great that he's in WWE and NXT. And it's great that, it seems so far, they understand the character.
Yes.
His promos are very intense, but it's not at the fault where in TNA, Joe would constantly just scream. And I think so far he's been at times uncontrolled rage, but at the same time, it's been focused and it means a lot and it has meant a lot. And when you watch the video package for an angry, vicious, bloodthirsty Samoa Joe to go against a very super confident, accomplished Shinsuke Nakamura who knows that whatever you throw at him, he'll probably throw at you twice as hard back.
Yes.
So this dynamic where you had Joe in TNA, if you've been following wrestling, just dominated it. As you know, he's always been a killer, and Shinsuke Nakamura is not an angry killer, but someone who, if you're in his way, you're gonna be taken out of his way.
Yes.
So this feud was built up, I think, very well. You watched it week to week, so you could tell me if I'm wrong. But just watching the hype video, I saw little things over the past few weeks that because I wasn't watching it and see, and I'm like, that meant something. I'm even more excited that this match is going to happen minutes from now.
Yes. And it was developed. The match was developed really good over the weeks, and it gave that sense of like they took time with it. They didn't rush it like some matches that they do with like certain feuds and all that. With this one, they did really well promoting it, and once it got to that, people were hyped to watch it. Um, Even the crowd, how Shinsuke came out, everybody, even when Samoa Joe's music came out and everything, the way he comes out, everybody knew it was going to be not just a wrestling match. It was going to be two veterans going against each other. It was like a war against each other. And the thing I liked really, like, just really loved about the match itself before they even did the introductions and everything, they were like taking swipes at each other, like they were trying to hit each other, they were trying to kick each other and everything. And this was before the bell, this is before introductions.
There was
And
definitely a hot start to that match, but I like what you were talking about, that even before the match started, there was hype. And the way that I like NXT promotes itself, that the way it's structured is that it earlier on you saw Samoa Joe, getting loose and he's working out in the back, and then you also later on you saw Shinsuke stretching out, getting ready for the match because this is important. What you're watching tonight, NXT Brooklyn 2, is because of the main event where Samoa Joe takes on Shinsuke Nakamura for the NXT Heavyweight Championship, World Championship, whatever it's called. And you saw glimpses of them in a very real sports way, getting ready because it's important, getting into the mindset of defending your championship, getting in the mindset of challenging for a championship. And I think all that matters. And I was very excited for this match to happen. And you had mentioned earlier that when Joe comes out, he doesn't need the entertainment part of it. He came out with a towel.
yeah.
And that's what Joe does. He's not fancy. He comes here to kick your ass, to win a wrestling match, to go home and I guess do it again. But now saying that's what's so great about Samoa Joe. Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance, what did you think of it?
I really loved the fact that they had a guy with an actual there. um it's well, his entrance is just one of those, you just like it get once the lights go off, and then once the violinist like started like playing and everything,
Mm.
it just kind of like it's kind of like one of those built ups to where you just all like you get too excited for it and you just want see what happens next and all that. And then all of a sudden his music hits and the violinist is like playing with the music and everything, and it's just like you can't believe it's almost like about to happen and everything. And once you see Shinsuke come out, you're just like, what the hell is going on right now? Like you're actually gonna watch Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe in the same ring with each other. That entrance, the way he came out, the way he acts and everything, even like I even his signature, like that point in the music where it's kind of building up, and then once it comes back in, and you know how he does his signature like the ropes and goes down and everything, and
I love it.
yeah,
I love that pose.
yes, and I think that just adds on to like the drama of the match. And with Samoa, as soon as that was done, Samoa Joe's music come on. You know Samoa Joe, the way he came out, the way he looks, the way he walks, the way his face looks, the way his music's going and everything. He's coming out there to come and kick someone's ass, and he knows that it's not gonna be easy, but he knows he's gonna war for it. And I think it just built up to where how I was telling you about the beginning of the match where they were taking swipes at each other, taking hits, trying to kick each other and all that. And I think a lot of people finally realized that you're finally, like I said, you're finally seeing Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe in a wrestling match in the same ring at a bigger production value.
Now, something you just said, which I really liked, is that you said that it seemed like Joe was getting ready to go into war.
Yes.
At the same time, something very part of Joe, which I love, is that he's getting ready to go into war, but I think he's also happy to go into war.
Oh yeah.
And that's great about his character if you like him, and that's horrifying if you don't like him.
Yeah.
Is that this is a guy who the match you're about to see matters. But the big thing also, just also about Shinsuke Nakamura, I loved his entrance, was that he's always had this beautiful theme that CFOs made. But live, you had one person pretty much doing it. And it sounded great. It wasn't exactly what the theme was in the beginning because it had some freestyle. It let the violinist was allowed to be himself and
Yes.
get lost in the music and the feeling in the moment, and it was great. And towards the end of Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance, he also he points to the violinist and puts him over because
Yes.
he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And he appreciates what's going on. And all of this goodness and this powerfulness and this honor and this theatrical moment that is Shinsuke Nakamura is interrupted by the simplicity of Joe, the simplicity of what his theme is, that it's, I'm going to beat you, something's coming, a monster like a King Kong is at the barriers and they're breaking because here comes Kong, here comes Samoa Joe, he's going to kill you and he's going to like it, you're going to war, and he's happy about it. And there's such an aura of going to a live event. And again, like I said, go support your local indies, but if an important WWE or NXT show comes in your area, go see it. If you're willing to listen to this podcast, you should go see it. So, I want to just make sure everyone understands that there's such an aura to this match, and I'm happy I was there live. I definitely don't regret going to this show and being a part of it and seeing it live. Taking the energy in of this whole match and definitely being happy with this ending. But we'll get there. So, what did you think of the match?
I thought the match was. I liked the fact that Samoa Joe was dominating in some of that match. I mean, I'm not saying he was dominating throughout the whole match, but it was good to see a beast like Samoa Joe lay in on Shinsuke Nakamura, who was, over the weeks was frustrating him and everything.
Definitely got into his head.
Yes, and it was good to see. It was good to see Shinsuke Nakamura fight back. These guys were. This wasn't just like a ordinary match. These guys were going at it with each other, and the shots even showed it too, to where they were giving each other stiff shots, and I think giving stiff punches, stiff kicks, stiff knees, stiff elbows, and anything like that, it adds on to that, the dramaticness to the match itself. And I thought that they did really well with each other. Even Shinsuke Nakamura, the way he uses his knees and everything, and even with Samoa Joe trying to take his knees out, it was all pretty good and everything.
I definitely agree with you. These guys' styles definitely blended well because they're very similar beasts that they're willing to hurt you and they're willing to get hurt back. And we saw that a lot in very stiff shots, in almost challenges to, can you take this? Can you take this? Let's see if I can take what you have. I can take that. Can you give it harder? A very physical style where these two very similar characters, beings, but kind of opposites, met each other, and they push each other to almost their limit. Because I do believe that there is a crazier version of this that we'll probably see a few months from now. But it was a very, I can't express it, but a very pro wrestling moment in these two characters, from their different backgrounds, from all of what they have accomplished, who they both have claims of victories over, and these two finally meeting for this NXT championship. And there's just moments that make NXT great, make pro wrestling great. And I think it's not necessarily the way they physically interacted with the wrestling, because I think the wrestling wasn't that great and it can be improved, and it will be on a future match. But the characters met each other. I think that was very important for this story.
I think
Do you understand? I feel
yeah.
like I'm not completely getting it out.
No. I understand. Like what you, it's one of those things to where these guys brought out. See, this is one of those dream matches that you want to see, and you got to see it, and um, it's just crazy how these guys' styles just meshed well with each other. And um, another point to that is I don't know how it looked on live, like being there live or anything, but on camera, Shinsuke Nakamura got a knee on Samoa Joe's jaw, and it looked like Samoa Joe was in a lot of pain before he got knee to the face with the Kinshasa and everything.
Now you can't see me, but what I'm doing is I'm reenacting the position Joe did after he was kicked in the face, where Joe took his fingers, part of his mouth,
Yeah,
and he held on his jaw because he was hit in the jaw, and it might have broken.
he
And
the
here he is, just clenching on his jaw, feeling pain that indicates something didn't go right here. And what's great about Joe, what's great about Nakamura, what's great about real pro wrestlers is that in that moment you don't quit. And unfortunately, I'm gonna take that as an attack to the Sin Cara who gave up because his finger hurt.
yeah.
Because the rumor is that Joe broke his jaw, and I don't know if that's true yet. And I really hope it's not, because I don't want his career to be uh, derailed for any point in time. But Nakamura may have broken Samoa Joe's jaw, and the match went on
Oh, he went.
because
He just kept going with it.
that's Samoa Joe.
Yes.
He, he doesn't. I'm sure he's not happy that that happened, but it did, and that doesn't change anything. It's just another obstacle. So the fact is, he may have broken his jaw, and then I believe after that, Nakamura goes to goes to the top rope and hits Joe in the back of the head, or the back of the in the back or whatever, and then hits him with the Bumaya. You called it its new name. What is that?
The Shinkasa.
Shinkasa. And he pins Joe. 1, 2, 3, and we finally have a new champion.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, who could beat Samoa Joe realistically in the NXT universe for that title?
I mean, he went against Finn Balor and he choked out Finn Balor, and I think someone like Shinsuke Nakamura, who can go with the best of them with his knees and everything, I think he was the perfect choice to beat Samoa Joe in that.
Definitely, because again, I don't see who can beat Joe. the next best option for me would be you have Bobby Roode, but Bobby Roode cannot beat an angry Samoa Joe. Bobby Roode could cheat to win, but
Yeah.
Joe will win in a pure rules matter, and it's about skill. So I feel like with Finn Balor being called up, that Nakamura was the only real option to beat Joe. And now that he has, and that Joe may have a broken jaw, and if that's real, then he's not going to be on TV for a while. You know, I think Nakamura is going to beat some challengers, and when Joe's physically ready, he comes back.
Yeah.
And he gets probably put right in for his rematch. What do you think's going to happen?
I think that there might be a stipulation in this one. They might do a stipulation match to where it's either like in a steel cage or next time like no like all out go at it, no holds barred, no rules or anything like that. Um I think I think it's gonna be a little bit more physical next time.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna see a little bit more angry Samoa Joe, a little more aggressive Samoa Joe in there. And
Which is a frightening idea.
it is a threat. You know, it's just you saw him. If you saw him come out for that match, just imagine how he's gonna be coming back.
He was all serious in that his entrance. And now TNA once did an entrance with Samoa Joe where Samoa Joe really played to his Samoan background, and he had dancers and fire twirlers. And I was really hoping that we might get this time because NXT Takeover tends to be, this the SummerSlam of NXT, and usually you think that these guys go more all out on the entrances. So I'm hoping we get that one day. But an angry Samoa Joe, where you broke his jaw and you took his title,
That is frightening.
is frightening. And unfortunately, the Nakamura that presented himself to Joe was one where he steals your nose like a child. And if an angry Samoa Joe who you broke his jaw meets Nakamura who's more, focused on stealing your nose, I want to see Joe destroy that Nakamura.
I agree with that, but there's a but in that. Uh, Only because you got Shinsuke Nakamura who can do stuff like that because he's playing mind games with you. And I think that's what he did with Samoa Joe. He was playing mind games with him and everything.
So the next time they meet, you think it'll be different.
I think it'll be different. I think Shinsuke Nakamura will realize he has everything to lose now because he went in there with nothing to lose, and Samoa Joe had everything to lose. And I think it's the gonna be different. The other way, it's gonna be opposites now. Shinsuke Nakamura knows that Samoa Joe is gonna come at him even harder the next time.
Now, do you want a gimmick match or you want a one-on-one straight match?
I wouldn't per se to say a gimmick match, but I would want to see it be another just a regular match, but had the stiffness as it always had in that one on that first one.
I agree with you because what I was going to suggest is a strong style match, which in the WWE or NXT would have to be explained as to the referee, we're going to smack the shit out of each other. We're going to punch the shit out of each other. Your 10 count will not mean that much. So you should take a step back.
We should get a chair.
Really, yeah, your job here is to count pins and submissions, but how we get to those pins and submissions is not really any of your business unless we start bringing like garbage wrestling. But this isn't about garbage wrestling. I'm not gonna take um, some barbed wire and put it around Joe's neck. I'm gonna kick him in the neck. I'm gonna
Yes.
strike him in the neck, and you're gonna let this happen. I hope that's where this feud goes.
I would love to see that if you go like that. I wouldn't want nothing like chairs or tables or kendo sticks or anything like that be involved. I just want a stiff match to go through the whole thing. Just two guys, let them fight. Who cares about 10 counts? Who cares about breaking up at 5 or anything? Just let these guys go at it. And let the ref just see if someone has to give up or count to 3. That's all the referee needs.
Well, now I just want to see William Regal to be the ref in this very loose but an understandable rule match agreed upon.
William Regal is like one of the history's like stiffest wrestlers, and if you have him being there as a referee, try to stiff wrestle with William Regal, and I'm pretty sure he'll stiff wrestle you back or stiff shot you back or anything.
I'm sure he would. I hope that neither of the two are dumb enough to interfere with a referee Regal, but I would like to see guys hit people, and even Regal gets disgusted at where these guys bring it to because Regal's a gentleman, and even though there's a strong style, there's a honor to it, and I like this feud to eventually get past the honor of strong style and just be about I'm going to beat you, I'm going to knock you out, you're going to stay out, and both guys have that approach to each other.
It's gonna be
And maybe it gets to the point where even if it's not about the title, these two have their own little universe. Like Lesnar has his own little universe where it's these guys. They're too intense right now, and let them do their own thing. Hopefully they resolve themselves. Then they can come play with us. But you guys have to work that out.
I think Samoa Joe's gonna have his own universe like Lesnar is.
I would love to see Joe versus Lesnar.
I would love to see that also.
You think we'll ever see it?
I think at one point we'll see it. At one point, I think it's one of those one-time things, not like this John Cena Rock once in a lifetime thing, but I think this would be actually just like a one-time thing.
Well, like a Kofi versus Lesnar on a obscure international thing, or you think like a real takeover or pay per view?
I think a real pay-per-view, to be honest, like a main roster pay-per-view.
I would love to see it. That is something I would love to see live. Hopefully next year SummerSlam is that. I'll go if that's the fact. Otherwise, the way this year was, I don't know if I want to go. But I do know that based off, off of last year's NXT Takeover and Brooklyn and this year's NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2, I'm interested already in getting seats to NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3 as soon as they appear.
Hey, I would love to go to that, even if it's in Brooklyn still. I mean, I always wanted to visit Brooklyn for some reason.
Well, you should. Next year we can do this live.
We should do that. Let's book it. Like all the matches that we want to see, but probably won't see. Never know.
Well, we'll get to that maybe on the next show.